Let me tell you about the truth about purchasing a diamond for your loved one. Um, to be perfectly honest, everybody is nervous. So don't feel bad if you're nervous when you go into a jewelry store. Everybody's nervous because it's a it's a huge investment, and also there are a lot of scammers out there. So if you're concerned about being scammed, um, study the company's background, kind of get uh, a little a little bit of a synopsis of whether, like from customer reviews, whether that company is reputable or not. Yelp has very accurate reviews of the company, or Google reviews is very accurate. But when you're going into the store, a lot of customers uh, claim that they know exactly the four C's and looking for a diamond. And they claim that they've been looking online all the time, but it's nothing like going into a store and actually having to pick up the stone, pick out the ring or bracelet or necklace, and really looking at it. I was really a truth teller when it came to sales. I would tell people the tricks of the trade. And a lot of my managers did not like my approach because I was brutally honest about the stone. If the stone was not good, if it wasn't a good quality stone, I would let them know, like, this is not a good quality stone. Um, because truly, in the diamond world, you get what you pay for. And if you are looking for a double VS stone to be $1,000, that's just not going to happen for you. Um, so I would grab either a loop or put it under some form of scope for the customer so that they can look at the different uh, facets or cuts to those diamonds and look at the color. Um, and when you're looking at a particular diamond, and if the employee or the salesperson says that it's GIA certified, ask them when was the last certification, because you want to make sure that the certification is not old. It's not an old appraisal done like 2 or 3 years ago, because the market changes on the diamonds as well. And so you want the most up to date appraisal. Like if it's been around 6 months to 8 months, that's okay. But if it's been more than a year and you're looking at a GIA certificate for that age, then you need to ask them to appraise the stone. And they can have a jeweler appraise that stone for you. It might be, they might ask you to pay, but you can kind of encourage them from a customer perspective. Like, I'm really interested in this diamond, but I really believe that it needs to be a more updated appraisal. And a lot of times with the larger companies that you're dealing with, they will not charge you for an appraisal because it's so easy for them to do. It's very easy for them to do because they have a lot of the larger, or not necessarily the larger, but a lot of the higher end jewelry stores have a jeweler on site that has the certifications and maybe even a degree from GIA to they're well qualified to appraise your stone. And another trick to the trade is that every store has the best lighting for their jewelry. They have the best lighting. They pay thousands of dollars for the lighting in their store because that is what makes or break their presentation for that diamond. So ask an unusual question. Ask a question that I've received from my customers. I want to look at this in a natural light. How can I look at this in a natural light? Now, depending on the price of the stone, because the the salesperson might not be allowed to take the stone, literally go with you outside into natural light to look at the stone. And that's because of liability or protection for the store. If you're asking a salesperson to look at a $20,000 diamond outside of the premises of a jewelry store, first of all, they're going to be like, "What?" And second of all, they're going to be like, "We can't do that because of the price of the stone." So one thing I recommend is to literally take the stone and cover it with your hands. Cover it with both your hands. Use as much shade as possible with your hand, and that is the imitation of natural light. If you notice that the stone has a lot of what they call scintillation, which is a lot of sparkle, without even having that much light, that is a testament that it's a very well made stone. Now, now depending on the clarity, like say for example, if you get a VS or double V stone, I don't care what lighting you put that stone in, it's going to look amazing because of the clarity. There's very little inclusions, which are natural blemishes in the stone. There's very little to hardly any that you can see with the naked eye. But you could also look at it under a scope. And under a scope, normally they have a light on the scope so that you can look at the stone. You can ask the salesperson to turn that light off of the scope so you can look at it under a magnified level under the scope, but still look at it in its natural light. And you can see how much scintillation it has. A lot of my customers have paid maybe $2,000 for a pretty significant sized diamond, and after they left the store, and because of natural oils in the skin, their stone is not shining as bright because the clarity of the stone wasn't that good. It was probably an Si2, which means that there was a lot of blemishes and imperfections in the stone, but it had a high color level, so it was near colorless. So to the naked eye, you probably did not notice under the lighting in the store that it had a lot of blemishes, but in natural light, it in fact did. And I've had customers come in and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter how many times I wash this diamond in the jewelry cleaner that was recommended, it still does not shine as bright as it did when I first bought it." And that's not necessarily true. A lot of that has to do with the quality of the stone. A jeweler, or a really good jeweler, what they normally do is use a lot of steam to get the any fingerprints or any oils off the stone. Sometimes they might use a jewelry cleaner, but some of the higher end jewelry stores use steam to clean the diamond, because sometimes with jewelry cleaner, depending on how much you use, it can leave residue on the stone. So you may want to watch out for that. If you buy jewelry cleaner, um, only use a very small amount of that, dilute it, like maybe use like a small teaspoon of the jewelry cleaner and dilute the rest of it with hot water and clean your stone that way, because a lot of jewelry cleaners are extremely concentrated and they have a lot of wax in it or other sulfates that can affect the scintillation of the stone. But definitely, I encouraged all my customers to ask as many questions as possible. And if you go to a store and the salesperson, you're asking them a lot of questions, and the salesperson seems kind of irritated with you, leave that store, because this is an investment of your life. You know, it's to many people, this is more important than a home or a car. This is a family investment. It could turn into a family heirloom that you pass down from one child to the next. So this is a very important decision. And if they don't want to listen to all your questions, you need to walk away. There have been times that I've spent 2 hours with a customer answering all their questions and educating them on what to look for in a diamond, how to make sure that you are told what the right clarity, color is of the stone, and make sure the price is matching with what you are paying for. Because in some cases, with the jewelry store, there is a markup, just like with everything else in retail. There is a markup, and if you've gone around to several other jewelry stores, you can kind of negotiate with them as far as a price. Don't haggle and be like, I want this $10,000 stone for $5,000. That's not going to work. But maybe a couple of $100 off of that ring. They have that kind of buffer that they can do that. Or maybe give you a couple $100 off the ring, and then you use that to buy the extended warranty for your ring. Now, a lot of people do not want to buy the extended warranty for their diamond. They think it's a scam. They think that we're just trying to scam them. And let me tell you something. Please, please, please buy the extended warranty. Because if your stone falls out of your ring, you are out of luck. You are out of luck. Because or say for example, if you have missing stones in your ring, like some of the rings that are called pave style, which is just a multi, it looks like a bunch of stars. It's just like a sprinkle of stones all around maybe a one center stone. Those pave stones over time will fall out because of wear and tear. You hit it up against something and one falls out. That can cost you $250. If you have an extended warranty with that company, it's free. And a lot of times these extended warranties with these companies can be 5 to 10 years, which is great for the upkeep for the ring. Because a lot of times during that period of time, especially with newlyweds. Maybe in 5 years you want to upgrade the ring, and sometimes they can transfer that extended warranty to the new ring, and there's benefits there. And there's also, depending on which jewelry store you go to, there are benefits to upgrading your ring. There's some jewelry stores that are total scammers. They will want you to double pay for the ring. It's like they treat it like a car dealership. So you do a trade in, and they totally devalue your trade in. And they tell you, even though you have appraisals that tell you that the ring is $30,000, and then they turn around and say, "Yeah, we give it to you for 18,000." Totally walk away. You got to get as close to the appraisal value as possible. You may not, you may, with every trade in, you are going to have a slight loss because of that's just how the market works. The market fluctuates. So you are going to have a slight loss. But if it's a loss that is like 30% or more, oh no. That person or that jeweler is making a 60% profit off of you. That's how much of aware that you need to be of the trade-in value for your ring. Now, if they are saying, okay, you had your ring appraised in 1985, and in 1985 it was 18,000. That was 1985. The market has changed, so you need to get an updated appraisal. You need to do an appraisal on your stone every year, because that is going to help as far as your insurance on your ring. Let's say, for example, someone robs you and you use your home insurance to cover the cost of your jewelry being stolen. The insurance company is going to try to lowball you. If you have that appraisal paperwork, you can fight that and be like, "Oh no, this is what the appraisal value is, and this is what I need to get for this replacement of this ring." Another thing that I recommend is getting a rider insurance just for your ring. Getting a separate insurance policy for your ring. Now, some people do not want to do this because they think the monthly payment for a rider insurance on their ring is too expensive. But it is too expensive for you to do a full replacement of that ring, especially if the ring was more than $10,000. You don't want to pay that out of pocket. So what if you're doing $100 a month in rider's insurance? That's covering a $10,000 stone. And that's covering it for the full value, not some watered down value that's a generic limit. And even with homeowners insurance, there's still a cap on what they will, the limit of how much they will replace your jewelry for, depending on what kind of insurance company you have. So a rider's insurance has a higher cap. So really investigate that. But when you go into a jewelry store, stay there. Stay there for a long time. Look at everything. And let the jeweler know. You can say, "I'm just looking," and I have followed that person throughout the store because I know that they are interested in buying something. And I do it in a way, I'm not stalking them. I do it in a way that wherever the customer went, I educated them on what they were looking at. And I asked them, like, "Oh, were you looking at this piece right here? Oh, okay." And I tell them a little bit of a story about it. So I didn't necessarily make them feel like, oh, I'm following you because I know you're going to buy something. It more or less turned that interaction into an experience for that customer that they won't forget. And now I have spent, with first time customers, I've spent 2 or 3 hours with them, educating them about what they need to look for in a diamond, how to shop for a diamond. I especially would tell them if you're going to a major retailer and there is a tag on that diamond and the salesperson is not showing you that tag that has the clarity on it, you need to walk away from that store because they're scamming. Because I've heard of some stores where they will tell them, and I'm not mentioning who the retailer is because I used to work for one of them, and I became their competition, like their fierce competition. I'd asked the customer, I said, okay, they told you the stone was an SI1, which is a very common clarity and a very well circulated clarity of rings. There's like so many rings in that clarity. I said, is it an SI1 or an SI2? Is it an H in color, which means that it's really, really yellow? Was it set in gold? Because a lot of the stones that are set in gold, they have a deeper color. And so that's why they set them in gold and not white gold or platinum. And I said, did the salesperson allow you to look at the actual tag on the ring? Did they allow you to hold the ring? No, no, no. Oh, okay, you need to walk right out of there. Because that's going to be your ring. I made the customer hold that ring because that's going to be their ring. I want them to be relaxed with it. Take ownership of that stone. Of course, I was watching them like a hawk because there's some people out there that switch stones. They just come into a store and they ask you, can I look at a ring or a diamond? And they literally switch the stone out on you. All an employee has to do is look at the ring under the scope and study its blemishes under the scope and then give it to that customer. And then when that customer gives it back, put it under the scope again. It's easy as that. It's very easy. But if the store, the jewelry store that you're going to does not allow you to touch their jewelry, you need to leave there. And I especially say that for people of color, because there are some jewelry stores for where they have, like I have worked with some salespeople that do not trust people of color because they think that they're going to take something and they barely showed them anything. And there was nothing I could do because this was around the early 2000s and the late 90s. There was nothing I could do to report their behavior. Like that behavior probably would be reported now, but there was nothing I could do back then. It was just discrimination. So if you go into a high-end store, and I recommend anyone that is, I don't care what class you are in, go to the richest area in your state, go to the richest neighborhood, and go to their jewelry store. Because based on the demographic in your area, that determines what kind of inventory that store is going to have. So I always recommend go to the richest area. Like for example, I took my mother to Jared, the Gallery of Jewelry, but I took her to the one in Beaufort, Georgia, because in Beaufort, Georgia, that is where a lot of affluent people live, and that is the jewelry was going to be on a higher end. So I got her a Movado watch there that was not at the other locations because of the demographic of that area. So don't be intimidated by if you go to a store and there are security guards there. There are people asking you, "Can I help you?" over and over again. Be like, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm good." But then turn around if that person is willing to help you, but they are if they're watching you like they're watching you to see if you're going to steal something, get out of there. But if they're following you like and they are engaging with you, they really want your business. And they are not thinking that you're stealing. They thinking that you come here to buy. You didn't come here to play no games. So go to the richest areas, go to Tiffany's, go to Jared, go to a private jeweler that is for the higher end people, because these people, when you go to the higher end levels, these people do not care what you look like. They don't care how you dress. They don't care what you can come in your pajamas. They do not care. All they see is green, and all they see is the potential to close you. So don't go to a jewelry store that if you live in kind of an okay area, but it's not a rich area, go to a rich area and go to that jeweler. Like another place that I went to that I visited, and this is when I worked at Jared of the Gallery of Jewelry. I went to their location in Lithonia. Very nice area, very rich area, very affluent. Gentleman comes in there at 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm sorry, not 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, as soon as they open. He is looking at a $20,000 ring. He buys that within 30 minutes because they saw him, they approached him with purpose, and they closed him. But also, the fact of the matter is, they had the best choices in jewelry. They had the higher end choices. So just because the jeweler might be located in Atlanta, you have to watch out for that. Maybe there are too many choices when you're in Atlanta. There's too many options. And if they don't treat you right in Atlanta, just don't even go there. But if you go to like Buford, and I'm talking about people that live in Georgia, if you go to Buford, sometimes Alpharetta, even going to Cummings, maybe Kennesaw, but Kennesaw is kind of okay. And Lithonia is definitely a perfect place to go to find a very good jewelry store or jeweler. Okay, I'm done blabbering, but if you have any questions, please leave a comment and let me know, and I will help you as far as finding the perfect stone for you. Take care.